Coming to paperback and e-readers, Steam Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed all-new Steam series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Steam Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Is Comicsgate really out to help make comics better? That's the critical question I have to ask after hearing from one of my Facebook friends at Velvet Comics about an encounter they had with Ethan Van Sciver. Now, according to my Facebook friend who's at Velvet Comics, he says that the publisher of Velvet Comics was promoting their comics on X, formerly known as Twitter, when they had a confrontation with Ethan Van Sciver and his followers, and as they had this confrontation, he was attacked and verbally abused by Ethan Van Sciver and his followers to the point where he wound up having to delete his whole profile off that platform. Now, I had basically originally thought that all of these folks were a part of Comicsgate, like Ethan Van Sciver and many others, were upset about the poor quality comics that were being produced by companies like Marvel and DC as related to what they called SJW Comics, and they were making an effort to try to correct the marketplace by promoting their indie comics like Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog. However, over the last couple of years, as the entire marketplace has changed, I'm not really seeing guys like Ethan Van Sciver going out here looking to make a place where indie comic creators can thrive and grow. No, what I'm seeing is them attacking a lot of indie comic creators and looking to go out here and start all sorts of beefs and arguments on social media. And that in and of itself really shows me how it's not really about making quality comics, but there's the big problem with guys like Ethan Van Sciver is that they really cannot go out here and compete in the independent comics marketplace, and basically what they want to do is eliminate their competition like the guys over at Velvet Comics. And the reason why they want to eliminate their competition is basically because they want to create a fiefdom where they can continue buying into the delusion that they are going to be the saviors of the comic book industry. However, the reality is that there's nothing really being saved by their efforts at all. No, when we look at the comic book industry since 2018, when many comics YouTubers came to these platforms looking to talk about the dire state of the comic book industry due to what they called social justice or woke comics, they were presenting themselves as some sort of savior that was going to turn the industry around. However, when we look at the actual numbers, we see that the industry is not changing from its declining statistics, and those statistics are quite troubling because right now the median age of a comic book reader is 50 years old, and the number of comic shops have basically got declined to the point where we had 3,000 comic shops in 2018, and now in 2025 we barely have 300 comic shops, and distributors of comics like Diamond Comics distributors are going bankrupt. However, you still have guys like Ethan Van Sciver and his followers thinking they are going to be the saviors of the comic book industry, but the irony is that they're doing more damage to the entire industry of comics by going after small independent creators and publishers like Velvet Comics, going after those small independent comic publishers because they basically are upset that they basically can't compete in this marketplace. Now, when it comes down to Ethan Van Sciver, he's been in a bit of a tizzy for the last couple of years as he's been having beefs with different people like Eric July, a man who I do not really have any sort of interest in, and just have nothing but disdain for. But the whole thing is he's been having beefs with different people, and I believe he's really crossing a line here, going after many small comic publishers, because these small indie publishers, as I see it, these small indie publishers are the future of this business. And they are the future of this business because it's these young, talented individuals who have a lot of great passion. And that passion is something that you would think older veteran creators would want to encourage in many of the young talents that I see out here. I mean, I see so many young talents out here making their own books at different publishers like Red Sea Comics, like Obscura Comics, and How Rad Comics. Many, just again, great talents out here making their own books and making some really solid comics that I've been seeing coming out, like Exorcist Club, Niobe, Pumpkin, and Savage Sin. I mean, there are just so many great books out here, but you won't hear that from much of comics YouTube, like Ethan Van Sciver. No, you won't hear him talk about those books at all, like Velvet Comics Melvin. You won't hear him talk about these books because in his mind, those books are not anything important, but his books are, and his books are going to save this comic book industry. That's the delusion that he has, and that delusion is basically going to hurt this business because when you attack independent creators and publishers like Velvet Comics, what you're doing is alienating more of the people as related to this business, and alienating those people to the point where they're going to look at most of the mainstream comic book industry and want nothing to do with it the same way I wanted nothing to do with it at this point. And that may impact this business because we see that a lot of these comics YouTubers, they basically are not genuine as related to wanting to go out and again improve this business. No, they're not genuine at all, because when you see a small comic publisher, the first thing I want to do is go out here and get the word out about their books, put some money on their books, because as a small publisher myself, I know how thin these profit margins are and how much money goes into making one of these books. So I'm going to want to go out here and want to encourage those creators to continue on persevering in this business. I want to encourage them to continue on persevering in this business, but it's sad that you have a comics veteran like Ethan Van Sciver not looking to go out here and encourage someone to, again, continue on learning in their craft. No, instead of looking to encourage someone to learn in their craft, he wants to go out here and attack those individuals, and basically make the environment so hostile for that publisher that they want to leave the platform of X. And to me, that's just showing how sad the state of affairs is for the whole overall comics social media. I mean, when you have comics social media fighting with each other, that's not a good look for comics. That's not a good look for the business. It's not a good look when you're on social media, because social media is a tool you're supposed to use for marketing. It's a tool that you're supposed to look to connect with your audience, and instead of looking to connect with the audience, what they're looking to do is cause online beefs and online drama like a bunch of females, and instead of going out here and looking to sell their work. And that basically again proves how full of it they are as related to the whole argument of merit. Now, when it comes down to guys like Ethan Van Sciver and many of the other comics YouTubers, they love to talk about the argument of merit and working hard and going out here and doing things as related to meeting a standard. But when it comes down to that whole argument of merit, this whole attack on your competition shows it's not about merit, because when you are actually looking to earn the trust of your audience and build a relationship with your audience on the so-called concept of merit. You're going to let your pages speak for you. You're going to let your story speak for you. You're going to let your work speak for you. That's what I do here at SJS Direct. I let the work speak for itself, and I let the work be known. That's what I do here as related to competing, because as I see it, competition is about bringing your best to the table, and when you bring your best to the table, that's going to show in your work. And that's what I do here when I'm publishing books like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, books like my upcoming Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. I bring my best to the table, and I let my work speak for itself. That's what merit really is. But many of these comics YouTubers, because they come from a place of white privilege, they don't want to deal with actual merit. They don't want to deal with actual competition. So that's when these racists start going out here and looking to attack other creators, and especially creators of color, and look to attack creators of color basically because they can't compete, because what they really want in that fiefdom that I talked about is they want to continue receiving the privileges of white supremacy, where they were able to get the goodies, giveaways, and most importantly, the guaranteed jobs in the comic book industry and get the guaranteed audience. That's what guys like Ethan Van Sciver want, and when they see a comic like Melvin coming from Velvet Comics, this is what upsets them, because they actually have to deal with actual competition. Same thing that gets them upset about a guy like Eric July. Now again, I think Eric July is a bootlick and a sellout, but the whole thing is he basically did beat them at their own game to a point. He did beat them at the game of competing against them. And again, this is what's got guys like Ethan Van Sciver upset. He's upset that in this actual comic market, independent comic marketplace, he's going to have to go out here and compete. He's going to have to go out here and compete with black creators. He's going to have to go out here and create and compete with Filipino creators like the creators at Velvet Comics. He's going to have to compete against actual creators who have talent and skill, and won't be able to use the excuse of woke or far left or social justice, because when it comes to creators like the guys at Velvet Comics who create Melvin, and many of the other creators like Red Sea Comics at the Exorcist Club and the Curse of the Gorgon, you're dealing with actual creators who of color who have actual talent, and these creators can go on the merits of their page and show how they can make a far better comic than the mid Cyberfrog that I basically read online and was just not up to par compared to the new books that I'm seeing coming from so many other great talented independent creators, other independent talented creators who are, when I go out here and do review videos of their work and show them where sometimes when they have something wrong, how they can improve, these people are very grateful when they hear me do a review of their work, hear me get the word out about their books. I mean, many of these comic pros are aspiring comic pros who are out here crowdfunding their comics. They're busy putting in that work. And what has Ethan been putting his work in? Critical question I gotta ask. Critical question I have to ask, because dude, you're supposed to be this big time creator, but it's been what, 5-6 years, and we haven't seen a new book from you in 5 to 6 years. Meanwhile, I'm seeing the guys over at Velvet putting in that work. They've had 3 issues of Melvin come out. They've been putting in the work on a smaller budget than what you get. I mean, you've got over $1 million on these comics, but we're not seeing many books coming out. That really shows me again how dude is scared of the competition, because if you were serious about competing, you'd have your books out here the way I had John Haynes at Death Store out here, and currently have it right now on Lulu, so I can go out here and continue selling that work. again, selling that work because I understand as a publisher, this is a business, and my business isn't just going out here making videos. No, the videos were basically something that I did so that I could go out here and reach a larger audience and reach more people with my work, because before I came to YouTube, I had over 1 million hits on my Sean James Black Freelance Writer blog. I had, again, a lot of people out here who knew who I was as a writer, and many of these comic book folks knew who I was way back as far as 2012, as some of my viewers tell me that people have known who I am for years. But many of those folks, again, and companies like Marvel and DC and many of these independent and many of these other comic companies, they know I was looking for a job as a writer but didn't want to help. But as I see it, I want to help this business, again, as a publisher, as a guy who makes content. And that's why I got to take and stand up for Velvet Comics and stand up for many of these other indies that Ethan and many of these people are going after, because many of these young talents, again, these kids are the future, and I see a great future for comics if we were to support these kids, give them guidance, teach them about the craft. That's what I'm about. I'm about trying to get these kids to learn about this business, learn about how to make better comics and tell better stories. That's what I want as related to this business. No different than Jim Shooter over at Marvel. A lot of people hated on Jim Shooter, but that man cared about comics. He cared about comics. He cared about the craft of comics that he learned from Mort Weisinger. And I care about comics as a publisher because, I don't really have to be here. I mean, I could go out here, write romance novels for the next 10 years and go on over there, because I had written romances before this, and that I sold over 1,000 copies of a book called A Recipe for Success. I have gone out here and written nonfiction, and again, sold over 1,000 copies of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, sold over 600 copies of my Man Crisis book, and hundreds of copies of Stop Simpin'. And again, I still love comics because comics were how I learned how to read, and that's why I really care about comics, and again, care about others who want to learn about this medium of storytelling, this beautiful medium of storytelling. And it really disgusts me when I see a guy like Ethan Van Sciver and his followers attacking small independent creators. It really upsets me because you do not need to go to these lengths. You do not need to go to these extremes because you're afraid of competing. You're afraid of going out here and playing and stepping up your game. What's happening here is dude is intimidated by all of these new independent comic pros coming out here with great comics, great stories, and he feels like he can't compete. So he's got to tear down the competition in order to build himself up. And that's what bullies do because they're feeling inadequate about themselves. And as they feel inadequate about themselves, what they do is try to tear another person down. But I'm not here to, again, tear people down. I'm here to build people up. And one of the things that I really want the creators at Velvet Comics to do is re-establish your X platform, because you can't let a bully push you off the platform. No, this is a marketing tool that you're going to use, and I would also advise you to go out here and find other social media platforms like Threads and Blue Sky and put your work up there. Again, this is all about selling your work. This is what I do every day. I go to social media not to get into beefs and arguments with people, but to sell my work and sell my work. That's what I'm all about. Again, I want to go out here and be able to have best-selling books. Again, best-selling books that go out here and can sell, again, in the thousands, or if I can, the 100,000s, or even the millions. My goal is to get people to see my writing and the craft of writing, and I want to see, again, other great creators get the word out about their work, and that's why I would go out here and, again, post up video reviews of people's work. Again, where's Ethan? If Ethan's so passionate about comics and Comicsgate is so passionate about comics, why are you not talking about other people's books? Because as a publisher, I know that word of mouth is how you sell books. Word of mouth is how you build an audience. I mean, this is how you sell product. But all these guys are basically doing is, again, looking to go out here and get beefs, to get AdSense dollars, not thinking about getting readers to check out their work. That's why they're not producing work, because all they are is about creating drama. And again, drama may get you clicks and views. It may get people looking at clickbait articles, but it doesn't sell books. No, what sells books, especially comics, is what's on your page. And what's on your page is what's going to get you your audience, and get you to increase your readership. That's what you want. And again, that's what I want for other creators, because if a lot of creators are selling books, and this is how we build readership. This is how we build readership as related to things. And again, you can't get this industry out of the ground if you don't have a readership. And again, if you don't have the young people making comics, then you're not going to get the new readers, because the new readers are young. And again, the young creators are out here. They want to be a part of this business. And what we're doing, as I see it, is you have people like this Ethan Van Sciver and his followers driving people away to manga, and driving away your audience, again, working against themselves, working against their whole principles of their Comicsgate, and showing us that this whole movement of Comicsgate isn't about going out here and making great comics. It's all about white guys looking to maintain a fiefdom of white supremacy, where they can be the guaranteed rulers over ashes, the rulers over the ashes of a comic book industry that will soon be forgotten as people get older and people forget what this medium is about and forget what these characters are about. And I don't want that to happen. No, I don't want that to happen at all. No, I want this medium to go on, and that's why I gotta stand up for the guys at Velvet Comics, because they've got a lot of passion, they've got a lot of heart, they're working hard behind the scenes to get these books out. I mean, this is something that comes out of love, and again, I want to see that love for comics continue to grow and have us move past all of this nonsense and drama, and get us back to having books that move regularly and are sold and shared with readers all over the world. Now, my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is available on Lulu.com in paperback, and you can pick up a paperback copy for the same price as it was in the 2022 Kickstarter. And my other comic, A Steam No Good Deed, is available on Kindle for just 99 cents, and you can get that comic on Amazon.com, and you can also get it in the Esteem series book, Esteem Blast from the Past. Now, I'd love to go out here and do the ISIS graphic novel that I originally planned back in 2018, and that was a dream project I wanted to do. However, I wasn't able to raise the funds through crowdfunding, and I may do that one day. But one of the things that I do is ask for the support of viewers, not only just for that comic, but also so that I can continue having funds to continue supporting many other great comics out here. I oftentimes take the money that I get from donations and give them to independent comic creators by putting pledges on their comics, and I can only continue to support great comics and share great comics in video reviews with your support. So if you guys could drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App, that would be greatly appreciated, and thank you for your support in advance. And maybe one day I'll get to make that ISIS graphic novel and eventually do 3 of the main characters in the SJS Direct universe in comics, and hopefully expand out from there. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available on Lulu. John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at Lulu.com today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.